Namaste, BSidesDelhi. So before we start, something very important to do. We're going to have a selfie with everybody. Smile. So in fact, smile and cheer. Fantastic. I'm going to send that to my mother. Right. So, welcome to BSidesDelhi. And I'm going to be talking about the power of the community here, the power of the community that we're in right now. Before we push off though, however, a quick disclaimer. All of this is my own work. None of this reflects anything on my employer. This is good because... Okay, I'm competing with a drone. This is great because everything you see is all my own work, all my own ideas. When you break into thunderous applause at the end, it's all on me. Just bear that in mind. So first off, why are we talking about the Infosec community at a community Infosec event? Well, the key thing here is that very often at these events, we talk about the specific problems and concerns like DLP, or firewalls, or DevSecOps, or something like that. We don't always address the outside issues that will actually make our jobs easier on a day-to-day basis. And the outside softer issues that will help us actually accomplish more with less. And let's face it, whose company here hasn't told you to do more with less, right? So, the very first thing I want to say is, hands up here, anybody who is looking for their first Infosec job. Anybody in here? Hands up here, anybody who's looking for a job, or the next job in Infosec. Is that because you all got your bosses in here? Okay, all the bosses, close your eyes. But hands up, we saw two hands there. People who are looking for another job or looking for another challenge in Infosec, right? Yeah, brilliant, thank you. So there's a few people here. This is important, right? Because events like this will actually help us achieve that. Events like this and the community around us help us do and help us grow as individuals. And that means sometimes going outside of your comfort zone. Events like this will put somebody who's never spoken in front of a large audience before on the stage for the very first time. Events like this will have you talking to people that you never thought you might talk to, people you have respected in the industry, and people that you've met online perhaps, and you've always wanted to talk to them. And I ask them, this is your opportunity to do that. This allows you to grow by moving out of your comfort zone. It allows you to interact with like-minded people, not just the people that are in your organisation. Right? It allows you to challenge the norms that you've heard within your business operations and within your own companies. It allows you to challenge those with other people and allows other people to challenge those. This is a great example. You know, hands up anybody whose password policy says, do not change your password every 90 days. Only change it when we tell you to. Anybody have that password policy? Hands up. Thank you, there's one. Hands up those who have a 90-day policy or similar. Right, okay, well, you're all wrong, okay, that's my opinion, you're all wrong. In fact, NIST agree as well. Okay, but it's at events like this that we actually get to explore and challenge those new ideas and those new ways of thinking. So, hands up everybody who likes Bollywood. Well, there's a gentleman here who's a real misery guts. So, throw out some words, or one word, throw out one word each that describes Bollywood. Go on, throw out a word. Music, okay? Dance. Glamour. Entertainment. So for me, the thing that really comes out of something like Bollywood, the real word is passion. Right? That's the word for me that summarises it. Everything is done passionately. Right? I know, I've seen those smouldering looks between people. It's passionate. A community event like this helps reignite passion within your chosen field. When you're working day after day in your office, looking at the same logs, or looking at the same documentation, or asking for the same controls day after day after day, you're going to get jaded. You're going to start to feel that you're not making the biggest of contributions in the world, right? But when you come to a community event like this and you talk to your peers, you're not only are you going to get ideas about how to do things differently, but you're going to reignite your passion for your craft, for your infosec craft. Because we're all in this in information security because we chose to be. We're all in this because we want to get in there and do a good job. One of the best ways of doing a good job is to be passionate about it, to become a fanatical advocate for what it is that you are doing. And so an event like this, when you're outside, you're chatting to people, when you're seeing speakers talk about something that they've done, a framework they've built, a hack they've created, and you see how passionate they feel about it, that's infectious. That's actually going to allow you to take that feeling back to your own work and do more with it, and actually do a better job as a result, and grow yourself as well. Okay, so what about those of you, what about us bald people and the people with grey hair and, who have to wear ties to work and all that sort of thing? I can only see 1 or 2 ties in here. But what about, we've made it, right? We're at the sort of top of our game. What do we get out of the community? I don't need to learn about, a particular hack, or I don't need to necessarily talk to somebody about password policy. I've got staff to do that. I don't need to worry about that. But I think this quote from Kevin Spacey really, really sums it up, which is, if you are lucky enough to be at the very top of your job, it's your responsibility to help those up the same pathway that you've been at, to send the elevator back down. Community events like this help you do that. They help you network, you help the participants in these conferences to network and to communicate and to find out about other industries. And then you can perhaps help them, you can perhaps offer to help mentor them in whatever it is they do. You can help offer work, you can help to offer resources maybe. If you're trying to start up and you're trying to build a lab at home or something, and all you need is a couple of really old computers, well, I'm sure there are some lying around somewhere that people can have. This is about giving back to the community. And trust me, it may take a little while, but that's going to feed directly into your business and into your environment and the way that and the quality and caliber of people that you employ in the future. Okay, so for all of us, what do? How do we engage with the community? So the community is not just in this room. The community is not just in BSidesDelhi in this hotel. It's not just in India. It's a global community, right? So we all know the social media, right? Although I think MySpace is a little bit out of date on this particular picture. We don't want to do that. A friend of mine exposed a vulnerability on it a couple of weeks ago. But I don't know what the other one is, but some of them are very old. But we all know Tumblr, Twitter, Facebook, Google Plus, anyone? Not sure. YouTube, Instagram, etc. These all have their own information security communities on there. And so using something like this is a very easy way to follow people in different countries, to follow, to be blunt, luminaries, the rock stars, if you will, in a different country, in a different continent, etc., that you'd never get an opportunity to interact with. You actually have direct access to these people. And if you're going to, ask interesting questions, make interesting observations, you're going to engage with them, and you're going to learn. So for me, I use Twitter and, dare I say, LinkedIn. But for me, Twitter is something I look at every single day, and I guarantee I learn one thing every single day. Doesn't matter how small it is, but I learn something from Twitter every single day. I even learn about key vulnerabilities and, threat intelligence from Twitter. It's a great feed for that. So get onto the social media, start following people, start engaging, start asking questions, start getting involved. The other side as well is events like this. Hats off to the organisers. They have worked so hard at this, so hard to make this event for all of you. And BSides is a phenomenon that goes around the world, as Sachin explained. This is a group of a community of people that we can draw upon. These events are normally free or very, very low cost, such as this one. And these are just some of the BSides one. OWASP, Anal, for instance, in India. The ISC Squared, ISACA. Many of these events are free. I've been to a number of them in this country. And not all of them are greatly attended. But, there's all of you here today, right? So why are we not supporting these groups who are actually trying to help you be better at your jobs, to be better at what you do? Need to engage with them. If you want to volunteer and support them, do that. It doesn't matter if you're handing out registration cards, or if you happen to like photography, then be the official photographer for the day, so that they don't have to pay for somebody to do it. Perhaps you've got a drone that you can use. Contribute in any way. It doesn't have to be technical. You don't have to spend weeks and weeks and weeks of your spare time always. The more people who contribute, the better a community becomes, right? So look out for these things, engage with them, talk to the people who organised BSides out in the hall, talk to people at OWASP, talk to people at ISC Squared. What's next? What do we need to do to build this community further? I want to give you an example, a real-world example of somebody who's done this. This is Yelena Milosevic. So I met her, I had the privilege of working with Yelena at BSides London in June this year. BSides London have a rookie track. It's for first-time speakers in the InfoSec industry to stand up in front of a safe audience and learn how to speak, learn how to present. And they match you with an experienced speaker. They couldn't find one in her case, so they asked me to do it. But what I found with Yelena was she's very, very passionate about what she does. In fact, if you look at her Twitter feed, don't worry, I'm asking you to read it, but if you look at her Twitter feed, you see that's her talking, the top one, that's her watching, talk after talk after talk. She's engaging really well with this, with this community. Since June, which was at BSides London, which was her very first talk she's presented at 7 other events in Europe. And she's speaking at another 2 before the end of November. Hands up anybody here who has spoken at 7 events in 3 months. Right, precisely. Now, Yelena is not an InfoSec professional. She's a paediatric nurse. She feels passionate about InfoSec in the healthcare industry. She wants to contribute to her thinking. And every single one of the organisers at these conferences feels she has something to share. How many people in the room can say they've had an entire article on the Register dedicated around your talk? You're InfoSec professionals. She's a paediatric nurse. Why have you not got an article in the Register? The reason she has is she's found something. She's found an issue in her industry. She's passionate about it, and she's willing to engage in order to do something about it. Because of this, our community is stronger as a result. We have learned things that actually the healthcare industry, has problems, has very fundamental problems. We can all say we know about them, But when somebody within that industry actually tells us, we tend to sit up and take notice to the point where the Register, makes an article about it. So I did a bit of a brainstorm, and I came up with the 4 things that Yelena sort of presented as qualities that allowed her to engage, to work so effectively. And the first one, she engaged. She decided, she lives in Amsterdam. She speaks 3 languages, by the way. She lives in Amsterdam. She decided to speak to the BSides London team to ask if she could present. Okay, that's engaging. She paid out of her own pocket to travel from Amsterdam to London. She spent evenings and evening after evening with me on the phone, on Skype, going through her presentation, what she could do. She engaged. She had energy. I can't tell you how exhausting it is travelling to 7 different places in 3 months and presenting a talk at each one and attending the entire conference. That is exhausting. She's got energy. She's channeling that energy into something that's very constructive. She's moved out of her comfort zone. She's a paediatric nurse. She doesn't do public speaking. But she was willing to do it. She was willing to learn in order to put her message across. And finally, she has passion. She really exhibits passion. She feels so strongly about this, and it comes across. If it didn't come across, she wouldn't be invited back to half of these places. You know, the talk would have fizzled and died. So it turns out when you Google serious Indian businessman, it's not BSidesDelhi, he's right down the bottom. You get some really bad pictures. But I want to talk to the employees here. Hands up here, someone who employs people, someone who employs people in the industry. I'm looking at the man at the time, but he's not putting his hand up. Any employers here? We've got one. Can you stand up, please? Yes, please stand up. Anyone else? Don't make him feel alone. Come on. You are the only one who offers jobs to people.
Confessing to it.
Okay, you got you there, 2. Okay, so anybody, the 2 people that were looking for work, and anybody else who was embarrassed to put their hand up, these are the 2 people you need to be talking to in the hallway track.
Absolutely.
You know, out there. These are the people to talk to. Thank you, you can sit down. You don't have to stand up the entire time. No, sorry, stand up again.
Okay.
No, I'm joking. And we hear all the time that you know, there's a skills gap, right? We hear this all the time. It's getting harder and harder to hire people. We haven't got the skills, etc. You know, and then, oh, this is all I can do. I can't hire the right people. I have to get contractors in. I know they cost 4 times the amount of money, and they're really difficult to work with. But there's a skills gap, and it's ridiculous. Hire someone like Yelena, right? Hire Yelena. She may not have all of the skills, but she has the passion. She has the desire. She has the focus. She has the values and the information security culture. And that can't be taught. It has to be learned from within. You can teach skills. You can't teach passion. You can inspire passion. You can't teach passion. Now, for me, and I do this very, very carefully. These 4 companies, the key sponsors of BSidesDelhi, I have no affiliation with them whatsoever. These guys get it. They've sponsored a community event so that they can get in front of people here. They're not just here to sell a product. They're here to talk to people, to learn about what they can do, to engage and network, perhaps find, you know, someone who can fill a gap in their organisation. So these people get it. If you're not engaging with the community as a business, if your business is not working, you know, with conferences like this or any kind of event or IC Squared, they're not really invested. They don't really care about, you know, your InfoSec group inside. You need to actually get your business to engage with them. Because I can tell you, the experience I have of hiring people through my organisation is not great. Because my HR organisation is geared up to hire people to do the work, the business work, right? Not to hire security people. Therefore, I need to go out and find these security people in other ways. And it's at events like this that it makes all of the difference. I want to give you another story as well, another real case story. This is Lee Munson. Now, Lee Munson runs a website called Security FAQs. He's been running it for about 10 or 12 years. To give you an idea of how successful it is in the industry, it would get about 250,000 hits a month. Now, does anybody here run a personal website that gets that kind of traffic? Right? No, he does this. He was doing this in his spare time. This was a hobby. And Lee was not an InfoSec professional. Even though he gave InfoSec advice, even though, you know, he followed the news, he provided opinion and all that sort of thing. Lee was not an InfoSec professional. He worked in a shop. He worked in retail, stacking shelves, pricing things, taking orders. But InfoSec was his passion. It was exactly what he wanted to do. And as a result of that, he now works, and he's an ISO lead implementer. He has communicated, he runs communications for the security group he's in. He communicates on a regular basis to nearly 90,000 people at a time. He runs and he creates awareness and training campaigns. But he's in retail. But I tell you what, behind these 4 boxes are the things that really made a difference. In his time in retail, he would attend events, he would network, and Lee will be the first one to tell you that's not him. You know, he's a shy person. But he did it. He came and did it. He talked to people. He engaged with people. He was also patient. It took a long time. He was very, very patient. It took a long time, and at one point he lost a bit of hope. But he maintained it, and he got some work in InfoSec, and then that led to a really big work. So, you know, a proper full-time job. But the patience, it's not going to happen overnight. This is not a panacea. It's not a pill you take and just, you know, suddenly become employed or in your dream job. He was self-educated. He learnt everything he knew off his own back. He looked, he read, he researched, he attended conferences, he listened to people, he would then write up about those conferences. His work is published across the internet, multiple places. He's quoted in the media in the UK, and he was a retail worker. Who here gets quoted regularly in the Times of India on matters of InfoSec? But you're in the industry. He was in the retail sector. We're looking in the wrong place for many of these people. He was also committed. Now, you all have no idea why I put a picture of a pig on there, have you? So there's an old story I heard that basically, if you can imagine breakfast, you've got a fried egg and you've got a slice of bacon. The chicken who provided the egg was involved. The pig that provided the bacon was committed. And that's the difference. Don't just get involved, commit. So, I'm glad to say, I've got 3 minutes left on my counter. I'm glad to say, come to the end of this session, no more lecturing. There's a few things I'd like you to remember. They say you remember 30% of what you heard in half an hour, so I'm hoping you're going to remember at least some of this, okay? But there's 3 things to take away, really. First one is find the community. Kind of already done that, right? Engage with it, really engage with it. Commit to it. Don't just get involved, don't just wander around. Commit to it. What can you give to it? Educate yourself. Learn from people. And network with them. You never know when that person you spoke to at the conference and was telling you about a really exciting framework they were creating, about information security, culture or whatever, when actually that might become really imperative to you or to someone you know. Demonstrate your passion, your values, your opinions. You can do this on social media. You can blog. You can talk. Get on the Kickstarter track, you know, or talk to IC Squared and OWASP and NOAA and talk to them about presenting something. Even if it's 5 minutes. 5 minutes of imparting your knowledge and getting feedback on that knowledge is going to help you grow. Okay, you don't have to stand up and talk for an hour or 25 minutes or whatever. You just have to give some knowledge over and you will receive twice as much back, if not more. Your tech skills will follow beyond once you have demonstrated that passion. That doesn't mean ignore them. That doesn't mean they're not important. But actually, tech skills can be taught and learned. And you can do that in your spare time almost. More importantly, prove that you are going to be a huge contributor to the organisation or the community or whatever. And finally, employers, you, don't stand up. Look outside of your normal channels. Start talking to people at events like this about who they are, what they do, where they go. Do they travel too much? Do they travel too little? What is their, what is their 5-year plan? What is their 1, 5, and 10-year plan? Where do they want to be? Because you never know. You might be able to help them. Or they might have a friend who you can help and introduce you to. Become a part of that community. I'm not going to be all sales-like, but actually, sponsoring events like this makes a huge difference. It allows us to be here. You are all here because of sponsors. Without sponsors, this would not have happened. So, actually be one of those sponsors if you possibly can, because you will reap the benefits in the long term. That's the end of the presentation. You can reach me on all of these internet residencies, and this is when you break out into thunderous applause.
We request Mr. Aziz to present a small token of appreciation from BSides Delhi 2017 team, Mr. Thom.